Hola, bon dia. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show on a new computer, a much bigger screen, but I'm not sure if it's as fast the processor. We'll see. Let me know. You know how I love your executive feedback in the comments there. So let me know how this is looking. Hope it's looking okay to you. We've got a few people in already, which is fantastic. Ernesto Furtado is here. I think that's to see my special guest this morning. So let's bring him onto the screen. Vitor Costa is here, everybody. Good morning to you, Vitor.
You caught me off guard. Hello, everyone. How's it going?
It's great to have you here on the Good Morning Portugal show with the Expats Portugal community. Let's see who's here this morning already before we get started talking to you about the north of Portugal. Okay. Oh, look, I've got a first bit of executive production back in. Carl, voice, image out of sync. That's not good. Okay. Back to the drawing board with the tech later on. But let's just crack on with what we've got for the time being. Bon dia from Corrie de Sprax this morning. Jeannie King tuning in really early in the morning, I suspect, over in the United States. Good morning to you, Jeannie. Bon dia, todos. It's nice to be joining you live. Michelle Castro Vieira over there in the UK as well. Bon dia, todos. Lots of lovely Portuguese people tuning in from around the world these days. Wolfgang Wust is here. Good morning, Portugal, says Wolfgang. Paul and Louise are here also in the UK. Hola, bon dia, todos. Bright and sunny at the kitchen table with second. I wonder what that means. Or maybe with second cup of coffee. Here we go. Last part of the message. Second cup of coffee. Very good. Ernest Furtado, as I said, is here. Bon dia from sunny Porto this fine morning. Milda here as well. Good morning, Milda. How are you? Bon dia alegria de Norega. I hope I've said that right. In Norway this morning. And bon dia alegria from Rizal as well. I loved your blog yesterday, Rizal. Yes, Corrie, Wolfgang, Paul Richards up in Yorkshire. Harrogate, 2 degrees. It does fluctuate. Frost, sunny. The sunny countdown, 14 days to go to being in Portugal. It's looking a bit stilted on your side, Carl, in comparison to Vitor. Isn't that nice for you, Vitor? You've got the best appearance this morning. But I think you're used to that, aren't you? From what I know of you.
I may or may not have a YouTube channel for a few years.
Stephen Wells is here, but it's all looking good for that. Stephen Wells, bon dia. Good morning to you, Stephen. Mark Rigby. Mark will be very interested this morning in what you've got to say, Vitor, because he's to be in the northern part of Portugal, Povoa de Varzim, of course, and that's where he picked from afar, which I'm sure you will approve of. Anna Olsen.
Yeah, it's also a great place.
Yeah, a good start of this day from Anna. Edmundo Viegas down in the Algarve. Good morning. Just sharing. Got to go. Missing your shows. Edmundo, I know you're a busy man. Life is starting back up in the Algarve with the tourists, of course. Bon dia, Carl from Gary Austin. Susan Casola. Just a couple more. The True North. Strong and free. Let's find out if that's true. Paul Williams. Hola, bon dia, alegria from a cool Hampshire this morning. Okay, wonderful. And let's find out a bit more about Vitor. And I mean, you are a northern lad, aren't you, of Portugal? And it's so good
absolutely.
to talk. Yeah, go on, tell us about
that's also what I. Sorry to interrupt you there. It's actually what I wanted to say as well, because like I am still kind of green on the real estate thing. So I only found kind of my life passion a few years ago. So I'm still way less experienced than I'm sure many people that you've had here. But what I do have is I have lived in Barcelos, in Braga, and Ponte de Lima especially, which is where I am now in Ponte de Lima. And, what I want to share here is my experience living in these places and, a bit of the story of each and what you can feel here. I really love living here. And, everybody talks about the Algarve, but I never really liked that idea very much. I never really went there a lot. I prefer being here surrounded by mountains and nature. And, the climate is not as warm most of the year, but we got great stuff here. and I have a really fun story I want to show you and your viewers, which I don't know if you'd already.
Well, I think it relates, does it not, to Ponte de Lima? We've got a beautiful picture here of a knight on horseback. Before we go to your story, Vitor, I mean, tell us what it's like. Because a lot of, you're right, people think of the Algarve, they think of Porto, they think of Lisboa, and the north doesn't often get a look in, and that's why it's so great to have you here today, so people really can find out about the north of Portugal. When we arrived, we drove in and we came in through Jerez, which is absolutely beautiful. I hear people speaking very highly of Braga, Bragança. You are from Barcelos, which is the home of the Barcelos-born here. This is real Portugal, right? So can you just tell us about your own sort of childhood? What's it like growing up as a Portuguese lad in the north of Portugal?
Yeah, of course. So I was born in actually a parish from Barcelos, which, side note, in case some people don't know, Barcelos is the city with the most parishes. It has 60. And I was born in one called Galegos Santa Maria, which is, I don't know, about 4 or 5 kilometers away. And I lived there until I was about 4. Then I moved to Barcelos. And I moved to Barcelos when I was about 8, I believe. And then I stayed there until about 3 years ago when I came here. So childhood, I lived there. It's a small parish, as I said. And, there was still right next to my grandma's house, this Posto de Leite. How do I say that in English? This place where people would go to put the cow's milk, and then one of the brands would come. Yeah. And apparently, my grandma and family were good friends with the guys from the brand, so we would often get pallets of yogurts. Those yogurts that had no sugar or anything, so it would be like 2 spoonfuls just to eat that. Yeah. And I grew up, then we moved a bit to the side, and then I lived most of my life in Barcelos, which a cool thing about Barcelos is, even though it's kind of a bit city life, it's not, it's a mixture between, a full-fledged city, and I think maybe the correct term would be suburban, because you have a bit of everything there. You have peace and quiet. You have places that are busier, but it's all, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you have the fair every Thursday. You have like a fair, the market there, where people go and buy and sell things. And I don't know if I answered what you had to answer. I wasn't prepared for that question.
It's absolutely fine. No, it's fine. It's great to find out more about where you grew up, and of course the legend of the Barcelos cockerel. I might pull that up and share that with everybody, because that is a great story as well, of course, and has become the motif of Portugal, as people can see behind me. It's our mascot. In fact, mine. The sad news. I think people realise that the comb was.
No.
This is a disaster for me, but this is a really important part of Portuguese culture. Of course, you're used to it.
He was probably upset with all the COVID restrictions, so he went to get a haircut when he could.
That's what it is. That's exactly what. He was first into the barbers. Amazing. So to put it in perspective for people, then, with the part of the country we're talking about is here, right? This is Ponte de Lima, where we live. The first, the top most northern red arrow there, and we've got Ponte de Lima, where Mark comes from, just down in the south, further south from there, and Braga. Just we're really getting zooming in. Viana do Castelo, closer to the coast there, and
the other dot, you can see it there, but that's where Barcelos is.
Oh, okay. This here.
The bottom left, yes.
Oh, okay. Amazing. All right. Oh, this one, that's Barcelos there. Okay, gotcha. All right. Close to, I didn't realize Mark so close to Barcelos, Povo de Vargem. Mark, tell us as well, chip in with your intel and what you've learned about the north of Portugal, further inland, if you will. Okay, so let's go to that. What is this image all about here, Vitor?
Yeah, absolutely. That image is also accompanied with, I sent you another one with a row of soldiers. If you have that yet, that one. So those soldiers are on one side of the river, and the knight is on the other side of the river. And the story is, when the Romans were going along, they thought this was the river, I think it's pronounced Led or Lead or whatever it was, which was one of the 5 rivers of the Hades. And o Rio do Esquecimento, or I think it's the river of unmindfulness, where they thought that whoever drank that water would lose all of their memories. And so the commander, he crossed the river first, and then he called all of his soldiers by name to prove that it was not the Lead River, the unmindfulness river. And that's why those statues are there. They were put fairly recently, a few years ago, but it's a great story, and I really love it.
That is amazing. Portugal, again, a first for Portugal, talking about mindfulness or the lack of it. That is a great story. Brilliant. And this other image you sent me as well. Where are we looking at now?
Yeah, that picture was standing on that bridge, was taken from that bridge. And that's looking at like the center of Ponte de Lima. You can't really see a lot of the areas there, but it's also to kind of show the architecture. You also have that old prison tower there. And also I have something interesting as well about Ponte de Lima, which is, it is the oldest village in Portugal. And I believe at one time they had enough to be considered a city, but they decided not to. So they keep that status. And they are actually very specific in what kind of things you can or can't have in the center. For example, I have a few friends that worked at a McDonald's in Barcelos, and then it opened in nearby Ponte de Lima a few years ago, actually. And I was talking to one of them the other day, and he told me that they were trying to advertise, because it's a new McDonald's, of course, they need to advertise, but they were not allowed to put any kind of advertising or signs or anything, in the village center, only in the peripheral areas, because they want to keep really that kind of feeling and sensation of, more ancient and architecture and traditional. So I found that quite interesting as well.
Me too. And I think a lot of people in our community will be impressed by that, I think. And so is it true to say then that that's the general sort of atmosphere when you go further north in Portugal? There's more antiquity, preservation, a more conservative sort of atmosphere among people?
Yeah, that is what I feel like. Where I usually spend most of my time away from these areas, it's usually Porto and stuff. But you get a lot of like castles, big, old, but very well maintained architecture. Like Braga also has this big arch. And I don't know if you ever heard the expression, "És de Braga." Are you from Braga? Because when people, you never heard it?
Oh, what does that mean when you say? I'm going to start saying it as soon as I found out what it means.
So,
of course.
Whenever someone enters a room or leaves and doesn't close the door, people would say "És de Braga," as in, because they have this. It's kind of like the arch of the open door, which is kind of thing that's always open and stuff, and so people would use that expression to say, "Hey, you should close your door."
Oh, amazing. I definitely start. So you just say "És Braga."
És de Braga. Are you from Braga?
The Braga, okay. It's in where I'm from in the UK. I'm sure every culture has its version, and where I'm from, it's like, "Were you born in a barn?" is what people say. Which it sounds like it could be equally apply in rustic northern Portugal as well. We've got a few questions now for you, Vitor, or comments at least anyway. It would be great from everybody if you want to put any questions you do have about northern Portugal. We will talk about property, of course. Vitor is complete transparency here. Vitor is an agent, realty agent of EXP. So am I, as a matter of fact. That's my long-term retirement project. To be looking forward to. Both he and I are working with EXP, and Vitor. It just struck me when I saw him on. I didn't meet him through EXP, strangely enough. I just saw your work on Facebook, because you're very committed to personal development and success, as I see it, Vitor. And I was just very impressed. This is another sort of British expression, but I was impressed by the cut of your jib, sir. And I just thought your energy. Yeah, oh, good, good. I was just very, very keen to get you on the show just to talk about your part of the country as well. But obviously, I think we're going to talk about property up there because there are some bargains, let's face it, to be had up there because people just don't know about it.
Yeah,
Let's go
absolutely.
to... Yep, Nigel Henry, morning all from a dank Oxford. There's somebody who might be looking for a home in Portugal. Good morning to you, Nigel Henry. Rizal, is he the only Portuguese who has not seen the Algarve?
I might be. I might be.
So that's an amazing thing. The Portuguese Tourist Board need to know about that, I think. Good morning from London, from Colin Richardson this morning. Good morning, Colin. Another fellow northerner, although where you are, Vitor, you might think of Porto as being the south, of course. But in Matosinhos this morning is Joel from our man cave. Alyssa is here. Good morning, Alyssa. How are you? Bom dia, pessoas lindas. A beautiful people of Good Morning Portugal from Alyssa there, who's over in the UK. Bearders22, Bom dia, alegria to Suffolk in the UK. John Smith's here. Will be here tonight. The Tash is looking good there, Vitor. John Smith will be with us, of course, tonight on the Ask Our Expats team meeting. We're all welcome and you can quiz the Ask Our Expats experts. Bon dia from Terceira. Nice to hear about other parts of Portugal. Absolutely, Donna. That's why he's here this morning. Barcelos has a lovely river flowing through it, says Mark.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Side note, I recommend a bit more looking at the river than swimming in it.
Okay, all right. So, what, pollution or dangerous, or what's the deal with that?
It's not. I don't think it's really pollution, but it's not the cleanest river. It's very green. It smells a bit weird, but I don't know if it had to do with old companies or something that would spoil there, and they also have this sewage issue. So yeah, but it's great to look at.
Yes, and cold as well, presumably. So you don't want to be going on there. Paul, I hope that served you well. You probably put that in the comments before we posted it up there. But so much to see in northern Portugal, north of Porto there, and of course over to the east as well. I don't know if we will include Aruca in this, the new suspension bridge. That is really getting towards the north of Portugal. Have you been there yet?
I haven't been there in a long time.
Well, Aruca.
Yes. I think I went once in high school. We did like this. What's it called? Orientação. The thing where you have the map and you need to follow the points and stuff and follow the path. We did some sports with college there, and we went. It was a really nice place as well.
Oh, good to know. And long before the new suspension bridge, one of the highest.
Yes.
In Europe. I mean, I think we're going to have a little bit of an Expats Portugal meet up there at some point because we're keen to go there. Milk Depot, that's what was next door to Grandma's.
Yes.
Bon dia, Prosecco. Peggy's in the house, everybody. Another gorgeous day in the Fab Algarve. Did she mention that she lived in the Algarve, everybody? Grassa, Donna Grassa Amorim is here. Bon dia, bon dia Mundo, bon dia world. And of course, I think Grassa has some connections with Trás-os-Montes, which we haven't mentioned just yet, but another lovely part of northern Portugal. Hi, Carl. Agree with Wolfgang. Your image is sticking occasionally. Is out of sync with your voice. Like watching an ancient movie, I suppose, this morning. We'll see what we can do about that in due course. Wow, very interesting and beautiful, says Rizal, about the photos we've seen already. Oh, Hank, where have you been? Hank is in sunny California, looking forward to coming to Portugal. He'll be delighted to hear about the north. Yeah, we've missed you. Welcome back to the chat, Hank. How you doing? Antonio F. Bon dia todos. One of the resident Portugueses. Paul from the Circus School. Mrs. Circus School is watching the show with me today. So act sensible, please, Paul. Ernest Furtado, 43 kilometers from Porto, a 1 hour drive. So very handy, Vitor. If you want to get to all the delights of Porto, not a bad position to be in further north there.
From Ponte de Lima is actually around 80 kilometers or so. From the highway, it takes you about 50 minutes to get there. But yeah, it's not too far, and it doesn't take too long.
All right, and the roads are good, are they? Have you all the toll roads up there like the rest of Portugal, and the road infrastructure is good?
Yes. I believe so. Obviously, in some side track areas, it might be a bit more rough, and some places you still have, I think it's called cobbling, right?
Yes.
But yeah, like if you want to go from Ponte de Lima to Porto's airport, for example, you take the highway. You do have the tolls, but It's not terribly expensive, and you can get there in like 50 minutes. It's a good highway. You just go
Yeah,
whoosh, and you get there.
whoosh down the toll road. I mean, these are the things that are important to people who just don't even know what we're talking about, really, who are looking on a map,
Yeah.
perhaps over in northern America, So it's good to know these things. Carlos Victor is here. Hola,
Hey, another Vitor.
Yes, tudo bem por aí. Thank you very much, Carlos. Great to hear from you. Bom dia, everyone from Australia this morning. Okay, so here's an interesting. Well, I think more of a comment rather than a question. But bom dia, alegria a todos. I was thinking about moving to northern Portugal, so I like being close to the Spanish border, and it's a bit cooler up there, rainy and wet, just like home. Is for Adrian Caffrey? Is that a fair description? It can be a bit cold, rainy, and wet.
Depending on the year, but sometimes I complain a bit because it rains too much, in the winter and all those things. But at the same time, when it's summertime, I complain about the heat a lot as well. So, but yeah, you get like a lot of hours of sun. Like we've been having sun for the last few days. Some days ago, it's been a bit cloudier. I believe Braga is slightly colder from the three places where I've lived.
Yeah.
But, obviously Algarve has a warmer climate, and probably that's why everybody goes there. I prefer something more chilly. I don't do very well with heat, so that's probably why I'm one of the black sheep that doesn't go south too much.
Absolutely, I think some people who are watching it are like Adrian here. They are from cooler climates, and you can come to the north of Portugal and enjoy the brightness of Portugal, can't you? Because you're still looking at 250 plus days of bright days and sunshine. Yeah, so I mean, let's not paint too grim a picture of the north of Portugal, because I think you still enjoy this.
No, it's no issue at all. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, because I even have a friend who has a lodge in Alaska. Most of the contact he has with civilization is a boat that comes once every month, and he's there in a remote island in Kodiak Island. So yeah, like I want to go there sometime, spend a week or a month off or something. But I'm just saying what it is, and some people like it, some don't like it as much. Some would maybe prefer coming here to, sightsee or just a bit of tourism and go away, and some might prefer this place to live. Which, by the way, I want to say as a side note, if anybody decides to come here or something, feel free to call me. Even if I'm busy, I'll find a way to help you guys out. I'm always here to help people.
Very kind, Vitor. At the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, says John Smith, we have Joanna Vasconcelos' massive sculpture of the Galo de Barcelos. It lights up at night. Well worth visiting. Sounds great. I think we should have one of those. If we ever have a corporate headquarters of Expats Portugal, we'll get her to do one for the building. More up north to renovate in the first place. So good observation from Carlos Vitor there. Tell us about the property scene up there. Obviously, a lot of people who are watching the show want to move to Portugal. They need to buy somewhere to live. What are we talking about? Availability, price-wise, doer-uppers? Just can you give us a bit of a portrait of the property scene up there where you are?
Yeah, that's actually something I am trying to kind of figure out as well exactly, because and I'm going to go on a slight tangent here. Like, as I said, I'm still a bit greener, but I came into real estate because, I liked real estate. I figured out, if I want to become an investor and all that, it would also be a great way to, to learn more about an investment before I actually do it. But quickly, I decided that I want to be the best realtor, because there is a lot that is being done kind of without much care or just for the commissions. And I've seen examples where I saw on your previous episode with Ana Caramujo that that expertise, as she called it, where you would get gringo prices, where it would be much higher if you were English or something. But here I have seen listings, even for people who do live here, where it was listed for 150K, but I was told it would actually be sold for 110K. So it's something I'm trying to still figure out, because it seems to be the trend that people overinflate the price with the theory that you would then negotiate it later. But I mean, depending on what you're looking for, something more specific, I can tell you, I've seen a brand new construction being done here. It's almost 60 square meters. It's, it has 1 bedroom, and that one was going for like 105K. So, about 100K, you can get something cool. If you go for a 2 bedroom, it can go for like between 100, 120, depending on the condition and all that. But I'm more in Corrida, actually, which is like 1-2 kilometers from Ponte de Lima. And most of the places here are, each individual house is different. I also have one here that's not on the market, which the lady is asking around 95. And it's a very big property, but it needs to be remodeled. Like the floor, it's still large wooden boards. And I mean large wooden boards without any kind of treatment or anything. It's just raw wood right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds the whole floor.
Okay, so let me just sort of drill into that a little bit. Obviously, then that sort of thing, the renovation property with some original features, and I think people coming from UK, US are going to love that. Where you've got the original floorboards, by the sound of it, untreated, and you can do some work on the house, preserve the original features, and do something amazing with that. And the under 100K for that, and this is in Ponte de Lima. The other 2-bedroom property, were you talking about T2 apartments or 2-bedroom houses, like a little quinta style?
Could you repeat that? You kind of cut off there.
With the 2-bedroom place, like around 100 to 120, is that for an apartment or is that also a house?
Oh, that would be more an apartment. A house, can be a bit higher. And again, if it's older, it obviously has a different impact. I can give you another example of the asking price of another nearby house I have here. It has 5 bedrooms. It has 2 floors. It's from an old lady that I know. And, maybe changing the windows would be a good thing because they are thin and it can get colder. But the asking price she had was like 165K. So, every house is much different here. But let me see if I can. Okay, so that's in Ponte de Lima, right? Barcelos, you should also be looking at around 120, 130. Braga, you can actually get apartments like 2 bedrooms for around 100 or so, depending on the area and the location. When it comes to rents, it's, either you have only very expensive renting places for rent, but lower end stuff, it has a lot of demand, pretty low supply, and many agents don't even want to do renting. In fact, the first deal, which wasn't really a deal that I've made when I became a realtor, was I found my colleague in Porto like this apartment for rent that was converted from an office. I didn't get paid anything from that. I just gave her the referral because I don't even know. I just wanted to help, so I did. And I'm going on a tangent here again.
It's all right, Vitor. We like a Vitor tangent. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I talk too much, but I like what I do. I like helping people. I like informing, and sometimes I get lost in it. But hey, if it has value for anyone, that's why I'm here.
Excellent. So, but it's interesting what you say there, because some people might think, okay, there's obviously a letting opportunity in maybe buying property and making it available to the rental market. Would you advise that in the north of Portugal, as that maybe as a passive income stream for people, or is there a reason why people don't like doing lettings in Portugal as an investment?
I mean, as someone who got into real estate with also the mindset of becoming an investor, from the average asking prices and the average rents, if you're going to buy to rent, I wouldn't really recommend it, because the returns would be like 4 or 5% on average. Because if you buy a property 100,000, 110, or so on and so forth, the rents here usually go between 300, 400 something. 500 is starting to get a little bit steep. On Braga it can go to 450 or something, would be more average in Ponte de Lima, depending on the area, of course. it might be around that or lower, and Barcelos as well. So unless you find, either a ruin or a house that you can really repair and spruce up, and then or either resell or rent for a high value, I wouldn't say so as much, unless, we were talking about some kind of alojamento local or local tourism or something, and you can monetize that, because we do have some places here where it's really beautiful. People do come here. I have a friend that actually owns several tourist places where people come, rent a house, they have pools and stuff. I actually don't know what kind of profit they make with that. Actually, I should ask them.
It sounds
And
to me as though, long-term rental is not going to. I mean, that's not a bad return compared to banks at the moment. But obviously, if you're getting into the business of investment, you might be looking for more than 4 or 5%. And then perhaps the way to go to meet the new and growing tourism demand in the north is to go into renting to tourists rather than locals, possibly having renovated a property. But that's very useful. And I have to say, Vitor, if Prosecco Peggy, who reported in earlier on, she's all in the Algarve now, but when she came to Braga, from America, she fell in love with the place. And when you talk about rents being 400, even 500, and that being expensive, for a lot of North American people, that would be quite an affordable rent to live in a beautiful historic.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and, go on. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, I was thinking about something like 2-bedroom, 1-2-bedroom, sometimes even 3. You can get sometimes even 3-bedroom for about 500, 600-ish, because for the Portuguese, minimum wage, that starts getting a bit pushy. So that's why the prices stay around that. But yeah, if you have other sources of income, if you come from a wealthier country, wouldn't really be a problem. Personally, I really like the 3. If you want someplace more rural, and but at the same time, you also get some sense of movement and interaction. I think Ponte de Lima is awesome for that, because you have the old village. Most of the people, walk there because the car traffic is very, very limited. You only have one road that goes, and people only use that to park in the very big sand place next to the river, and then they just walk all around. Barcelos is kind of a mix between Braga and Ponte de Lima. It also has a lot of architecture and history. It's a lot more movement all around, slightly more noisy, but you got a bit of everything there as well. And then Braga, if you want a more, city area, but also with a bunch of, older structures that look great, and you also have, it's much more city-like, and it's kind of like a gradient between the 3. I recommend the 3. Obviously, it depends on what you prefer or not. And again, feel free to contact me if you have any specific questions. I will do everything I can to help. And hey, even if I don't have the specific answers, my focus is always, hey, if I don't know what you need, I'll find someone who can get you that information. So that's kind of how I work.
So this is the Vitor Costa triangle we're looking at on the screen now. Ponte de Lima, Barcelos and Braga. This is the area you specialize in, and then over on the coast, on the west, obviously, you've got the
yes.
as well.
I've been focusing on these 3 because it's where I live and where I know the best. I'll probably start looking into Viana do Castelo as well, which, if you pull up the map again, it's the one next to the sea. It's also very historic. You have like the Gilianes, the old medical ship. That's kind of like a tourist attraction as well. But yeah, it's
I noticed as well, looking at this again, you've got Amarante, which is a beauty. I know a good friend of the show, Freya, lives over at Amarante. Guimarães as well, of course. These are all amazing places. And then if you fancy a weekend, Guimarães, if you fancy a weekend in the mountains, head over to Ponte de Lima as well, which is absolutely stunning.
I've been to Jerez many times myself. It's like you're just there isolated. You go for treks on the middle of the mountains and everything. It's awesome. Oh, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Guimarães was basically where Portugal was born.
You throw that into the conversation there as another side note there, but I mean that's a very significant fact. Obviously, let's go to the comments. Let's see what's happening here. Put wood in oil is the Yorkshire phrase for Esta Braga, I think, from Mark in Australia there. Antonio F. Adrian Caffrey's comment about preferring the north possibly. On our there's also the border with Spain. Yeah, so as you move towards the Spanish border, of course, in the north, you are going to get warmer temperatures and less of the Atlantic effect. Bon dia from Perafita. How'd you get on with your exam yesterday, Peter? All those 5 questions about the Portuguese language. I just arrived in time to hear the word castles, my favorite subject. I think you've got a few castles in the north. Is that right, Vitor?
Yeah, I should have focused on that. Like, even Barcelos, you know, where we're talking about the river, you have this old, like, watchtower castle ruins thing. A lot of people go there. It's right on top of the river. You know, you even have some old tombs there. And what other castles do we have around here? Yeah, you also have another watchtower in Barcelos, which is now basically kind of a museum. Oh, yeah. And not a castle, but in Barcelos as well, near to the Clay Museum, you have this, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 meter tall, huge cockerel made of metal that people usually climb and take pictures and everything. And now we have a very big roundabout just outside of Barcelos, which they now added a gigantic cockerel there on the top, red, more stylized and stuff. It's really cool.
There's something about roundabouts in Portugal, I have to say. I know the dock and
especially Barcelos. When I went to college, I was labeled the rotundas guy because Barcelos has like almost every intersection is a roundabout. And from a few years now, the really cool thing they started doing is like almost every roundabout has some kind of giant sculpture representing, you know, the small clay things, either a cockerel or a goat, or one very weird thing with a lot of pigeons coming out of it.
Obviously.
Yeah, and it's starting to just build up. And like when I started living there, you didn't really see many cockerels around, but now they're everywhere, like big ones, like 2 meters. The metal one is the largest one, but now you have a lot of them all around Barcelos. And so there's even a street that has many of them in a row, you know, and it's starting to grow and evolve.
We will go on. Sorry, Vitor.
No, sorry, but I didn't even mention the 2 most important things about Ponte de Lima and Barcelos, which are similar. But so in Barcelos, you have the Festa das Cruzes, which happens in May, which, you know, yeah, you have all of those attractions and, you know, roller coasters and stuff, and it lasts a few weeks. And you have also the markets and all that, and all of those people come over. And there's the legend as well with it's related also to the Galo de Barcelos, which we can tell in a bit. And you also have Festa das Cruzes, which happens here in Ponte de Lima, and then instead of May, it's in September. But the attractions are mostly all on the sand part of the river, and they also have concerts and stuff. And they have this big place where there's also a lot of horse shows here. I didn't even mention the horses in Ponte de Lima. And Ponte de Lima also has what's called Vaca das Cordas, which probably the animal rights activists might not like as much, but I think they basically string ropes to a cow and then they play around with it. And I've never been, so sorry if everybody is into that. I've never been there. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a big event that everybody talks about, and that they wear hats. And
so that sounds a bit random, but wearing hats and playing around with cows on bits of string. Be careful there. But you'll notice what Vitor said is that it's not none of your one night only nonsense. The festas in these towns last for several weeks, right? People party and they continue to party. Okay, this is. And as Vitor is talking there, you'll hear, oh yeah, and there's that, and there's that, and these are all the things you take for granted, I think, in your daily life.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And
for
just
us,
a side note, I've never been really the a normal guy that does normal people stuff. So I've
we
also,
don't like that.
but yeah, I mean, I guess that's why I'm here as well. If I was normal, I wouldn't have got your attention. So
I think we've got the idea here that you're not very normal, and I mean that in the nicest possible way, Vitor. I'm sure you haven't taken any offense with that. Wolfgang is saying, I traveled north to south along the coastline. What a lovely idea, Wolfgang. 2019, I love the huge beaches south of Porto. Any secret, i.e., affordable villages in the backland to look at? Are you going to give that sort of trade secret away today, Vitor? I mean, we've talked about the triangle that you've got there. What about a smaller village where obviously the property price is going to be a lot lower?
well, I haven't looked at all of them, obviously, but for example, Galego Santa Maria, where I lived, a two-bedroom apartment would be like 80K or lower. So I don't know which one would be the lowest price, but I'm sure you could find something. I know you can get like ruins for, I don't know, 40K in some places around Ponte de Lima and stuff, but you know, I
It
haven't
looks
looked into it, so I don't want to
no,
guess too
fair enough.
much.
That's a reasonable guide to start things going to give people an idea. And it sounds like Wolfgang should come and have lunch with you, and we'll talk about what a good lunch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk about what a good lunch is in a little while as well. When we also look at the legend of the Barcelos Rooster before we go, we've got lots of comments and questions to address now.
Mhm.
Antonio F. And the south side. Heck, anyone would think it's surrounded by Spain. Indeed, you could get that feeling, couldn't you? Mark Rigby, northern Portugal is green for most of the year round. Now that's because of the rain, of course, isn't it? Partly due to the winter rains, but also due to the rivers and reservoirs. So a nice green part of that. If you prefer a green landscape to an arid and parched one, that is obviously a consideration to be up in the north. Jacqueline. Bon dia to San Martino de Porto this morning. Good morning to you. Caldash countdown continues. I'll be over there that way soon by the weekend. Ivan Schmader is here. And I've got to say, Ivan, if you want to jump on and talk about the new Relish issue a little later on in the show, you'd be more than welcome to do so. I am putting the link in the comments for you to do that now. So when after Vitor and I have talked about the legend of the Barcelos Rooster, why not jump on and talk about that? But your question to Vitor is, do you expect an increase in real estate interest since Braga has won the Best European Destination 2021? Yes, of course. Another thing to throw into the conversation. Is that having an effect, Vitor?
I believe so. Personally, I haven't experienced it myself, but based on the information I've been getting, and also these talks about Hong Kong and stuff, and a lot of people starting to look into here for investments. When I started my real estate career, there was already all of this talk that many people from Brazil were coming here and buying a lot, and especially in Braga as well. So I can imagine that will continue because, as you said a while ago, compared to many other countries, not only is Portugal relatively cheaper, but also the quality of life here is amazing. And I can give you a short story. I have a friend that he lived with me in Barcelos for a while, next to me. And he then went to Andorra in Spain, right? I think it's Spain. I don't know. Forgive me if it's not.
It is.
And they speak Spanish. And one time he came back years later and we hung out and stuff. We went to the cafe and it was like, hey, how much is that pastry? Oh, it's 70 cents or whatever. No. Oh, really? Give me all of them.
Give me all of them.
It's relatively expensive.
Yes.
Inexpensive.
Absolutely. We have a small fruit farm. Not looking for any more property is Nigel Henry. Small fruit farm near Algorge. Love it, but stuck in Oxford waiting. Of course you are, Nigel. Fingers crossed for your visit and your journey back here. Andrew Caffrey, only half surrounded by Spain. The other half is the Atlantic. Of course. Thank you, Antonio. Always good with the facts. He's our resident fact checker about Portugal. Has anyone travelled to Chaves de Faro, longest road in Portugal? This is the Portugal's Route 66, I think. Legendary stuff. Amazing. And you could have a great holiday doing that. There are many lovely historical cities in northern Portugal, all within an hour or two driving. Nothing for a North American. Wolfgang Wust, if you mean the countryside interior, they are all more affordable than the coastal ones. That's a good guide. Thank you, Antonio. Hello from Nazaré, from another Vitor this morning.
Hey, another Vitor.
Yep. I'm saying Vitor. You're saying Vitor. I've got to get that right. Irish October, bon dia from a still cold London with a very freezing looking emoticon there. I hope it warms up for you, Irish. Bon dia. Thanks for sharing. We're planning to settle down in Guimarães now under house hunting. Any recommendations? We are in our 50s, no kids, but with 4 cars, a 4-car family. I think that we need to put your details in the comments, Vitor. So how do people get in touch with you to get that sort of help on a one-to-one basis?
Yeah, of course. You can call me, you can go to my Facebook page, but I'm mostly accessible on the phone because I always have it with me. So do I type it in? Do you want to show it on the screen?
Shout it out to me now. If you're happy for me to share this with the whole world,
of course. I'm here to help. The more people know me and my contact details, the more people I can help. So
go on then. I've got 00351 for Portugal. Just shout it out to me and I'll pop it in.
I'll write it here as well on this chat. So it's +351, which is a Portuguese indicator. 939 133
939 133 003. Let's hope that's the right number and that you'll not be WhatsApping other people around the world. But I'm sure that's good. Vitor Costa's number is now in the comments. Okay, and WhatsApp him is a good way to do that. Let's get through these, and we will be talking to Ivan before the end of the show today to talk about the new edition of Relish magazine, the foodie mag for Portugal. Are there any dishes or brands of port wine that are very specific to this region? We haven't talked about food or wine yet, have we? When people come and have lunch with you, what will they look forward to?
In Ponte de Lima is arroz sarrabulho, which I will not say the ingredients because most people shy away from it if they know what it contains, but most everybody who has it just loves it. It's like this dark rice with chicken and a lot of things. And my mother-in-law is a cook that specializes in traditional cooking. So if anybody wants to maybe, get in touch with me and come over, maybe I can get you guys to go on her top of the mountains home and we can have lunch there.
Oh, that's a great offer. I think Ivan will be up for that. Morning all from Dominique Core. Show us your cup again, Carl. Look, it was it's not my cup, all right. Mrs. M made me a lovely coffee in there. I think it came into the household via the kids at Easter. As I'm sure you know. Come on. Bon dia. Mine is a unicorn cup, a color changing unicorn cup. My normal cup. Ian, bon dia. On Sunday, so looking forward to that. Northern Portugal sounds beautiful and perfect for the summer, adds Ian. That's those sort of sun bunnies who like the Algarve are a little bit have their reservations about the north. But for people who don't like the intense sun, it's got to be a good choice. Putwood at Doyle, north. Was you born in a cowshed? Central. I say, old chap, would you mind awfully? Can you pull up the drawbridge, please? Very good. All the places covered. Paul Richards is saying, how far is Vitor from the ski resort of Portugal? Skiing in Portugal, Vitor.
That might be Serra da Estrela. I've only been there when I was very, very little. I even forgot almost that existed. I don't know, but I can quickly check if you want to read some questions while I...
You're absolutely right. It's Serra da Estrela. It's the Vodafone ski resort, isn't it? Because it's a bit cooler, what is grown there, and in the Furtado household, Ernest is saying it's only 4 to 6 degrees cooler, not a drastic difference. I mean, you're still growing. You can have a lovely allotment in the north of Portugal and grow lots of food, right? I'm sure your mother-in-law does.
Yeah, and we also have a small farm here. Most of what you see is cabbages. It's cabbages everywhere. You also can grow peppers, lettuces, grapes. There are a lot of grapes and vineyards all around here. You can also grow cheese. Wait, that's not grown.
That's an indicator, isn't it?
Yeah, but you also have Queso, which is also really good. It's really good.
Well, Vitor will take you on a trip to pick fresh cheese when you're over. The inland northern Portugal can get very hot in the summer. The northern coast benefits from cooling onshore breezes when it starts. Cheers, Mark. Paul and Louise, we spent a few days in Braga during February. Lovely jump weather, but warm enough to sit outside. City of the Bishops of Portugal, lovely old Roman town. That's fantastic. Elisa, any areas around Minho, Trajas Monte cooler, humidity, and below zero temperatures in the winter season? Thank you for that. Antonio telling Paul, Serra dos Chelas, 240, 250 kilometers down in the central.
About 3.5 hours.
Spain, really.
Yeah.
And we'd like to know, has anyone been there? Or Ian would like to know, what's the skiing like in the Serra dos Chelas? More than a day visit, reckons Paul. And I can't say on him. I don't know how to say that. But we spent Christmas holiday in Guimarães 2 years ago. Beautiful city with very kind people. There's a great review.
Just a quick side note. That other person with the Chinese characters made that question a while ago. I don't know if I answered, but I personally don't know much about Guimarães. But if you get in touch with me, I'll do some research for you and see what I can do to help.
There we go. We've got the WhatsApp number now in the comments for that. Ian Turner, as far as I know, it's skiable only for a couple of months of the year, but still a place to go. Serra dos Chelas, again, great for cheese. Mountainous region of the Gerês gets very cold in winter. I prefer the coast to live. The sea, which is milder in winter and provides a lovely breeze in the height of summer. So he's a coastal man. As is, Vitor Costa. That means you're Vitor of the coast, I think, right?
Yeah, almost that. Yes.
Mark Rigby, enjoying the coast there, Ian. And the roads go everywhere, but can be closed during heavy snow, bad weather. Thanks, Antonio F, for your input on Serra dos Chelas there in the skiing. Bon dia alegria from Virginia Larson is the public transportation infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They have these internal buses, and now they have it in Barcelos as well. It's just they come every few minutes, and you just pick the bus you want, and it can take you all around.
Brilliant. That form for the green growers put me in Facebook jail for 3 days last time I used it. I don't know what referring to that, but certainly don't go to what Gary's talking about. We need you here on Facebook, everybody. EXP is going to change that by our premium training and tools to end the lack of service and misinformation. Ernest, jumping in there with an EXP announcement there. Watch out for that sensation in Portuguese real estate. Antonio, I hear it's a real dodgy road to get the last 10K. That's Serra dos Chelas. Bom dia de ouvidos this morning from Jacqueline. Good morning to you, Jacqueline Branco. And is it possible to actually apply to the relevant department to extend some ruins, or is one always permanently restricted to the footprint of the properties? It depends on your camera, doesn't it, Vitor, in terms of planning permission and development?
Let me read that. Is it possible to apply to the relevant and some ruins?
This is about planning
I think it's a case of talking to the town hall and see what they would allow or not.
Yes.
It's a ruin rebuild the way the structure already is, right? But than that, you would have to get permission.
Okay. Braga says Mark Rigby has stunning medieval architecture. Paul and Louise, scary moment driving from the Serra dos Chelas when some cyclists overtook us. It's a great area for walking, and if you're lucky to see the shepherds. Great cheese from Ceia, of course, there, obviously. Paul and Louise going on to say they want to visit Bragança, of course, too, later in the year. São João de Madeira is the village with more roundabouts per mile than anywhere else. So if you like roundabouts, that's where to go, São João de Madeira. Or try the N125. Some roundabout fans here this morning.
I need to go there.
Hello from Katowice, from in Poland, from Barbara this morning. More roundabout talk. So yes, you need to speak to Wolfgang, Paul, or Joel if you're a roundabout fan and want to find out the best roundabouts in Portugal. DJ says, I'm looking for a small farm with a river or stream running through the land, also with views. Any ideas? You're going to find that sort of property easily, aren't they, in your neck of the woods?
Let's see. With the river stream running through, I mean, nothing comes to mind, but I did see a really beautiful property here that's going to enter the market on the 7 digits asking price. One thing you do see a lot is like you have, the Água de Minas. How do I say that in English? Jesus Christ. water sources that come from mountains and stuff, and people, build pipes and all that, and you have those streams that come through your property, and you use it to water crops and all that. And many even have both. You have water that comes from the source, and you also have from the well. So you have both in many cases here.
Bless you. Mark Rigby, he's obviously a Northern Portugal fan. Lots of lovely information from Mark this morning. There's small towns along the coast between Porto and Póvoa de Varzim. The benefit also being that they're on the metro line. Yes, the metro line to the centre of Porto. That is a really fantastic benefit. Bon dia from Andy this morning and from Ubi Ominominum. The north is why we moved here. I fell in love with visiting the wife's family in the sticks near Amarante. Very good. Interesting to know that, Andy. And a place to go on your list. Anyone visiting Portugal should go to Amarante, I think. A great bus from Caldas de Rainha that go to Porto and many other regions of Portugal. Excellent. Thank you, Jacqueline. We've got Vitor's number to go on the screen there. If you want to speak to him, very kindly making himself available. Wendy, we'll be with you soon, Ivan. Bon dia from Wendy this morning. The prices of property in Portugal, north to south, seem to have skyrocketed in the past year. Biggest problems when buying is estate agents don't always tell the truth. Yes, this is something Vitor is trying to address, Nigel. A T2 is described as a T6. In reality, the house is a garage or the house has been extended without permissions from the camera. And looking on the plans, the estate agent's description is totally different. This is a problem. There's no question.
My favorite is that here, there's like this huge sense that the agents feel like the client or the customer is working against them. And the client feels like the agent is against them as well. And so the automatic response whenever you talk to someone who wants to sell a house, even if they really like you and know you'll do a good job, oh, by the way, I won't give exclusives to anybody. It's always open listings. And you often see the same property like 7 times on the websites, and one has 400 square meters, the other has 300, one has energy certification, the other one doesn't, and one is like 4 bedrooms, other's 3, one is 110, other is 100. It's crazy. I don't understand this. Jesus Christ.
No, you're part of sorting that out, and it does need to be sorted out in Portugal, no question. And there's also the problem of dealing in family members, says Nigel Henry. You agree with one, and you need the permission of 9 other people in the family to make the move. The deal work. We've got to
I actually know a property right next to my house, which is amazing. It's like 3 units. You have one house that's older but livable. You have another one that's more modern, but much better. And you also have like 2,000 square meters, and they're like asking 110 for that. It's kind of like the way it's built. It feels like kind of a mini village, because you have some stairs that go in the back of the house, and you have a lot of rooms and bathrooms and everything. And if I had money, I would probably buy it and do some kind of local tourism for that. But they are like 11 hairs, so all of them need to sign the papers and stuff, and Jesus.
Well, we will get through that. Let's take a quick. I think we could call this a little sort of snack break, and talk to Ivan from Relish Magazine.
Hello, Ivan.
Hola, bon dia. Good morning, Portugal. Carl, Vitor, hello.
Great to have you here. Of course, the proprietor and driving force behind Relish Portugal. I'm just sorry to bring you on the screen and then obliterate you with your own magazine here. But treasures from the Portuguese. Look at the cover. It's the old goose barnacles, everybody. Thanks for popping on, Ivan. Can you tell us about the new edition before we'll conclude the show with Vitor and the legend of the Barcelos Rooster, which is a very important part of Portuguese culture. But so is Relish Magazine. What's going on? What's in the new edition?
Well, thank you so much. The new edition came out just a couple weeks ago, and in it we talk about everything from the north of Portugal to the south of Portugal. We feature really interesting people that some of them are expats, some of them are Portuguese folks that are making a difference in the food scene in Portugal. So, Vitor, I don't know if you might know Paulo Tuna, the bladesmith, who's from Três Montes. Is that how you say that?
Unfortunately, I don't. And I feel disgusted about myself for not knowing him.
Oh, you've got to look him up. You've got to take a look at the magazine and read his story. And then you've got to look him up because he is a world-class, maybe even the best handmade bladesmith in the world. Right in your
I
neighborhood.
definitely have to. Cooking and kitchen is my second greatest love. So.
Oh, well, you'll like to know that he shared a really good recipe, but I have to look it up. Feijoada à Trazimontana.
Classic.
Yes.
Right.
Classic.
Take us through that. Let's hear that. Let's hear that.
Let's hear that recipe. Yes.
Is that okay? I'd love to.
Well, I'll tell you. It's got pig's ears in it.
Yeah, of course. No.
That's something really
Don't
good.
let any part go to waste.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. It's red beans, pork ear, pork shank, bacon, beef, chorizo. So very meat heavy, right? That's a meat heavy region up there, correct?
I would say it helps in the winter.
Yeah. Puts the meat on your bones. Onions, garlic, olive oil, wine, of course, bay leaves, laurel, carrots, turnip greens, salt, pepper, piri, and you just kind of put everything together and cook it up until it's nice and soft, and it makes a beautiful stew. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that about how you do it at your house?
Seems about right. That's not one of the dishes I specialize in. That's more my my mother-in-law. But yeah.
Yeah. It sounds just delicious. And besides, it's so fun to say. Feijoada? I mean, come on, let's all say it. Feijoada?
Feijoada.
So fun.
An excellent Portuguese word.
Yes.
Now, if people want to get the magazine, it's a free subscription, right?
That's right. It is free. It's an online publication. It comes out quarterly. And all they have to do is visit our website. You've got it right up there, and subscribe. There's lots of red bars across all of the homepage there. And they can subscribe, and they instantly get a copy of the current magazine and links to all of our other magazines. This one is our 6th edition. Plus, we have a year in review from last year. And Carl,
Amazing.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this yet. But we just recently won a Best in the World award for a Portuguese food magazine. Woo! And woohoo! We are so excited. So excited. We're one of
free
winners. So yeah.
I know a guy who says, if it's free, I'll take 3.
That's right. Why not? We put our heart and soul into it. And we are just delighted that we've been chosen as one of the best in the world.
Yeah, parabéns to you. It's an amazing thing that you're doing, and a wonderful celebration of Portuguese food and Portuguese culture. While you're here as well, tonight, let me just say, I don't know if you've tried this one, the postscriptum from Pratt's and Symington, or Symington. I'm not sure exactly how to say that, but Pratt and Symington. This is a little bit different tonight, and as Gary was saying in the comments, can I just quickly invite everyone to join us in the wine club tonight to raise the glass to Mrs. A, Mrs. Austin, Linda, for putting up with him for 30 years and to have a look at a nice wine as well. So
here we go. Cheers. Well, a little early, but cheers to Mrs. A.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you both, you guys. That's amazing achievement. 30 years of marriage. Fantastic. We look forward to that tonight. Ivan, thank you for joining us this morning. Is there any, obviously you want to urge people to sign up. Anything else you want, any message you want to leave us with before you go today?
Well, I definitely would love for people to sign up, read the magazine, let me know what you think. But we've also got a new, I know it's not the north, it's the south, it's the Algarve, but we've got a new Cataplana zine. It was illustrated by a fabulous artist that lives in Lisboa, and it talks about Cataplana. It's all about Cataplana. It's actually the other way. It's closer to the top of the page as well.
That right now. There we go. I'll find Cataplana for you. There it is.
Yeah, on the right side.
A little bit more to the top. the cataplana that I'm talking about. There it is, all about Portuguese cataplana. Woohoo! That is our first product.
Ivan, so good.
Oh,
Yeah, you got cut off there, Carl.
We've got a slight delay, which is making things a little bit difficult. But yeah, go on, Ivan.
so really just delighted. It's our first product. It's €1.89. It's not a lot, but it is a 12-page zine that talks about the traditional cataplana and has a recipe and is beautifully illustrated. But the magazine itself is free, and the more the merrier. From north to south, we've got you covered.
Fabulous. Ivan, thank you so much from Relish Portugal. Please come back. Every time you've got a new edition, come back, share a recipe with us. It's been lovely to have you pop in today.
It's a pleasure. And Vitor, you've been just fabulous. So interesting today. Thank you. Really.
And thank you for giving me a new subscription.
Mwah! Yes. Pleasure.
Add me on the Facebooks and everything.
Yes. It's a wonderful thing. Connects us all. Okay.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Okay, thank you. Ciao, guys.
There she goes. She's in the Algarve, of course. So we've north and south today. Vitor Costa from the north, Ivan Schmada from Relish Magazine down in the south. And we talked to her and Ali. Ali Sheldrake the other evening, and a few other folks from the new book by Ali that talks about life in the Algarve. But this morning it's all about the north, and let's see what people are saying, shall we, in the comments, and find out a little bit more from Vitor, of course, about the Barcelos Rooster as well. Do you want to tell us that story, Vitor, or shall I go to the web for that? You want to give me your version of it?
No, sure. It's mostly the same thing. It's a simple story, but a really fun one, which is there was some crime that had been committed, and nobody knew who had done it, right? So one day, a pilgrim was passing through, and so they decided that he was a murderer. I'm saying murderer, but I don't remember what crime it was. And so he was sentenced to death by hanging, and he said he was innocent. So on one time, he went to the judge where he was having this big dinner with all of his friends and stuff, and there's like one whole roasted chicken, and he was like, let me just do the mental translation. It says, as certain that I am innocent as that rooster will sing when I am hanged. Yeah. Verbs. And then the guy ignored him, sent him away to be executed. And when the guy was hanged, the rooster got up and started singing, even though it was roasted. And so the guy started running to save the other guy, but apparently there was a problem with the rope, so he didn't even get hanged. And that's a short story. It's a short, sweet story, but it's really fun.
And a cracker. A good one for the kids. That it's like a grim tale. Absolutely brilliant. And that's the legend behind the Barcelos Rooster. And obviously with these folk tales, there are different interpretations. And I shared with you there. If you go to Portugal.com, you will see the Portugal's Barcelos Rooster page there, and a few twists in the tale. Pardon the pun there. So I hope that was educational for you this morning, one to share with the kids on a long journey, perhaps on the N2. Let's see what people are saying in the comments. This is a fantastic question. Ubi says, is it easier to ask forgiveness than permission in Portugal? Joel responds immediately, no, better to ask for permission. Go out and spark up a conversation with your camera. We tend to be very peed off if anyone invades something that ain't his. Good answer from you there. Miranda de Corvo, that's a little bit further central, but I like the place in central Portugal, says Barbara. And Joel, Vitor, not to mention the disparity of prices too. I've seen the same property. Yes, you'll see it listed on different sites, won't you, for very different prices as well. Why is that, Vitor?
I think it might have to do a bit, and I've talked with a guy, which I don't know if he wants me to mention who he is or not, so I'll keep it vague for now. But he went from here. He came here from Canada as well, and yes. He told me there's this very different mindset. Like the very much employee mindset, very much scarcity mindset. And so what I believe happens is, since being an agent here in Portugal, you don't need to get a license, you don't need anything. You just go to any realty, you knock on the door. Hi, I would like to list and sell houses. Okay, sign here, you're done. And so if you combine that scarcity mindset and employee mindset with a job that people feel like they can have easy amounts of big money, let's put it that way, it leads to less than optimal results. So as I said, people will, okay, this property, the owner will sell for 110K, but let's put it at 150, because either someone buys it at that price and we get 40K extra, or then we negotiate. And so I think people just focus first and foremost, okay, how much will I get paid for this? What's in it for me? And then when I get that set up, I can then start thinking about the customer, and that just makes me feel sick. And obviously, I'm just saying that most of you guys here don't even know me. We only met a few days ago, so I might even do all of this to manipulate you guys, and then everybody will call me and I'll rip everybody off. Who knows? But but that's really, I
think that's just the Portuguese humor, sense of humor that you're experiencing from Vitor there. I suspect that won't happen. I suspect that won't happen.
I'll do everything in my power so that won't happen.
Yeah, and I know where you live now, Vitor, if it does happen. Bom dia a todos. Question for Vitor. Is the energy certification reliable in Portugal? Would you say so?
It's mostly a grade. The way it works is, and I haven't done this personally myself, so I'm just going off, the information I absorbed. But, you contract a certified engineer and all that. They go into your house. They see how much the house cools down during winter, how much it conserves energy, how much it spends, and all that. So the energy certification isn't as much how much, energy the house consumes. It's how well it maintains temperature and how efficient it is. And, they give that arbitrary grade. So I'm not sure what you mean by reliable. If you're looking at something and you want to know if you'll spend a lot more or less on energy costs, but feel free to contact me as well, and the specific issues you might be having, I'll go ahead and look at that for you.
Johnny in Belgium, I've no reason to doubt that certification standard, and I've never heard anybody question that. I've heard a lot of complaints about Portuguese real estate, the industry, and then the culture, but I've never heard that as a criticism about the energy certification. Leave out the chicken feet, the Chinese chicken feet, and any ears, says Nigel Henry. So not a fan of the dish that Ivan was talking about. I wished I was lucky. I do need a free new car, says Joel. It sounds like we should have a sort of a man cave crowdfund for Joel's new motor, maybe. Very good food in Portugal, except the francesinha. Not a fan of the French. Do you like French?
Of course.
Yeah, of course he does. Chorizo is good, but not to Polish people. Chorizo now. Oh, come on. Saturated fat has been unproven to be that. I mean, obviously everything in balance, but come on, folks. Now that's one of the best ways to die of heart attack. Stop being dramatic, Joel. Fiona is saying, bon dia alegria, late as ever, but we'll watch what I missed later. You will have fun hearing about northern Portugal with us. Can't have enough chorizo and food.
If you're not entertained, I have failed as a human.
Indeed. And I would say chorizo. Have I said that right, Vitor? Chorizo.
Chorizo. You're 98% there. Chorizo.
Chorizo. Chorizo. Okay.
You remove the T before the chorizo.
Oh, okay. Chorizo. Okay, chorizo. Okay, thank you much. And there's a few extra coaching guides, pronunciation coaching going on in the comments. Always love to see that. Chorizo is the food of gods. I use it in lots of different dishes, even heretically in cassoulet. Oh, you'll have the French ambassador on to you. But I think the French ambassador is busy dealing with a fishing issue with Jersey at the moment, possibly, and the French Prime Minister. A bit tied up with that at the moment. What is going on there? Vitor, thank you so much for being with us this morning. It's been amazing talking to you. I hope you'll come back. Because, we do need to get... Portugal generally, we love to share Portugal. Northern Portugal, there's a whole extra level of awareness, I think, that needs raising. To be fair to Northern Portugal and to share it with the rest of the world. I hope you'll come back and tell us more. You've got an open door to the studio. Anything that you didn't tell us that you would like to tell us before we go today?
That's a great question. I have so much to say, but yeah, like my goal here really is to raise the bar on how real estate is done, and I still have a lot to learn, and I learn every day, but I really don't like this, adversarial relationship people have with agents right now. And I'm also working hard, with Ernest, EXP, and everything to do all I can to raise that standard. And I want, like, my goal right now is to get to a place where people talk with agents and they trust them and they work together, and the agent will do all they can to help, not just put their house up for sale, because anybody can do that. Here in Portugal, anybody can list their house up for sale and then do deals. And so I feel like agents should do more. And like we get paid well for what we do, percentage-wise. So if I don't feel like I gave at least twice or 10 times that amount in value to what I get paid, then it doesn't make sense for me to work.
Okay, excellent. Really good to hear. Paul is saying you look like a really great, helpful guy, and you have a double in La Rosière, France. A guy called Fab. A guy called Fab, or he is a Fab skiing instructor. So you have a doppelganger ski instructor in France. Another problem for the owner selling, once the sale is agreed, and thank God deposit paid and committed, the tax the family pays on the sale 40%, and the agent's fees makes them think twice about selling and backing out. Yes, indeed.
That's actually an issue I'm having here. Like, I have this lady, to give you an idea, nearby where I am, that farm I told about that's like 7 digits in asking price?
Yes.
Yes. That property is so old that it's article number 2 in the registration.
Yeah.
And the last evaluation it had was like 113,000. And so since she also has investments and all that, she would basically have to pay maybe 40 or close to 50% tax on all of it. I am trying to see everything I can to figure out if there's any way where she can maybe not pay as much, because I mean, it's ridiculous. I know it went up in value, but like most of it will go away. So yeah, it's at least you pay 28% in capital gains, but then it depends on your brackets and all that. But if you have a primary residence and you sell that to buy another primary residence, you can like defer the taxes. So yeah, I'm doing my best to learn all of these things so that whenever someone wants to buy or sell, I have all of this information that I can also help them out with.
Yeah, the government could certainly do more to help, but I guess that's true of any government anywhere in the world right now. And we do have some listings ourselves, expatsportugal.com, real-estate-Portugal. There are some listings there. And also, if you go through on that tab, you'll encounter Colin, of course, are the overseer of our very own property searching service. And Colin already, I mean, we introduced Colin last week on the webinar, and he's already working with people. You do need, I mean, someone like Vitor, someone like Colin, some of the professionals you work with, you do need a bit of mediation, I think, between you and the seller in Portugal at the moment, it's true to say. Vitor, you've been amazing, and I do hope you will come back. So great to find out about northern Portugal. Let me just remind everybody about the triangle that you help with: Ponte de Lima, not Barcelos and Braga. That's the Vitor Costa triangle, everybody. And I suspect he's able to go off piste around there. And it sounds like you can have a great lunch at his mother-in-law's as well. I'm looking forward to doing that one day. Vitor, have a great day. Fantastic.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
Yeah, a little bit early, but bon fin to you.
The what?
A bon fin semana.
Oh, yeah.
An early. Okay. All right, mate. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Bye for now.